Hello my friends, today we are looking at something again completely different. So I got this stereo cassette deck TC-K60 from Sony for very cheap. Well, now I know why, because it's not completely operational, but I got it for $20, 20 Canadian dollars, and I decided to take a look if it's working or not, if it's worth fixing it, and to see how it actually operates, what's inside. I always wanted to see old, this is pretty much 40 years old equipment, how it looks inside, all this tape deck, all this mechanics, the motor and belts and things like that. I would like to see how this thing works. But first of all, let's fire it up and to see what we got here. Maybe we can analyze to see our problem straight from the get-go. Okay, I do have a cassette tape over here, and this cassette tape I found under a hot water heater in the house. Believe you or not, this is actually the cassette tape who triggered me to buy a cassette deck, because yes, I have this TDK-90 cassette. Like, I have no idea what it, well, now I know what on it, because I have the little player which I fixed, and on that player I played it. So let's take a look. Okay, let's first power it up. So it powers up. First of all, it has this cool kind of display over here, right? I like it. This is LED display. It's amazing. It has all these like switches and controls. Look pretty old school, but at the same time looks pretty cool, because this is all metal stuff. This is what's cool about old gear, because it's it looks very legit. It's all metal, everything is metal, it's a hunk of aluminum, it's machined aluminum, pretty cool. All those switches are metallic, love it. So how do we open it? Eject over here, and if you put this tape in, looks like nothing happens. So that's what I thought. So we have either problem with motor, but I hear motor is spinning. Probably we have a problem with belt. So let's take a look what's inside and see what can we fix. Okay, well, here's the money shot. The reason I'm not showing you unscrewing, because unfortunately someone already had the go in it and already unscrew a whole bunch of bolts which were probably lost somewhere. So here we are. So this is what's inside this cassette deck. We have main board over here. We have motor and stuff over here. This is like really old school. So we have one-sided, well, mostly, because look at this diode over here on the other side, one-sided PCB load. And it looks like just one board right here. We have a transformer, probably the linear, obviously power regulated power supply. There is another transformer over here. I don't know why, it's like shielded. Oh no, it's actually plastic. No, we have mechanical part over here. So what's going on here? Looks like this thing doesn't have any belt at all, and the belt pass is very dirty. So this is something we have to address, I guess. I see now. This is not looking good, but oh, I think there is one belt over here. Is still there. It's a counter belt, I assume. Very interesting. So we have this little assembly over here, which is for this very nice LED in level indicator. This is some sort of level regulator board. I actually got the service manual and schematic for this, so it's a bit easier for me to figure out what is what. This is probably motor drive board, because clearly it's around the motor, and it's, I think, look, it's clearly connected to the motor. Motor is very fancy. It has this whole bunch of wires coming into it, unless they just mitigated the problem of the current. So they put like 4 wires or 5 wires just because they want to have it like to run a high current, but I don't believe this little dinky motor needs high current. So potentially this is like a multi-coil brushless motor of some sort, and they multi-phase something to this extent. Yeah, we will investigate that as well. There is also another, no, this is not a shaft, it's just something, bearings probably over there. Very interesting. There's a whole bunch of resistors over here. Probably we can adjust the speed of multiple things. Everything is nicely tied together. Very simplistic over here. Look at this. Those mains completely not protected. So accidentally, if you so if you forgot, this is, by the way, the connectors that you can cascade the other devices. So it's another mains over here. So if you accidentally, like, luckily I disconnected this thing, right? But if you forgot and touched it, it's like you can shock yourself. So this is stupid. So all this right now in this stage of current modern state of age is protected. It doesn't seem to be even grounded because it cannot be grounded. It doesn't have a 3-prong wire. There is no binding post anywhere on the back. So like a ground wire binding post. So yeah, this thing is not grounded. So sometime you need ground to ground your equipment to make sure it has less interferences. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe in this case it's completely fine. So yeah, let's take a look a little bit closer on all this mechanism, because it looks like the electronics seems to be okay. I mean, there's no magic smoke coming out, anything like that. We will take a look at this mechanical part to see, first of all this jazz has to be cleaned up because like super dirty. Secondly, we have to get some new belts installed. So I decided to use a phone in order to show you better all these nooks and crannies, because it will be hard to do with big camera. So we have this flywheel over here, which has much bigger momentum in order to have stable, more or less stable rotation speed. And apparently the belt's supposed to go over it. We have this nice shaft. So we have this nice pulley over here, which is super dirty. It looks like this pulley has one groove over here and second groove over here. So this pulley simultaneously contains two belts, because as we see over here, belt go over this guy, looks like, and goes around this guy. So there is also here another belt, which is actually where it's supposed to be a hole, I think. So this belt is for the counter. Yeah, this belt for counter. So yeah, the counter seems to be working, which is good. Okay, so now we just have to figure out how to get inside. First of all, clean up and then maybe install new belts. Look, there is more goodies inside, but actually not really much going on here. This is not really that much going on. I thought it would be way more packed with metal gears and things like that, but yeah, everything seems to be plasticky. I don't see much of a lube anywhere, so maybe I'll add some lubrication just to make sure everything is good and dandy. Yeah, looking good in general. Few curious places. Here's the capacitor. Looks like someone decided to like run a little capacitor in between one ground and another grounding point, looks like. Yeah, very interesting. Here's another little bodge. Not sure if it's bodge or this is by design. It's a diode over here. And I'm not sure. It's somebody tried to repair it. It's totally look like. Possibility of that Q500 was actually resoldered. Possibly, yeah, or something in this area was resoldered. I would probably pull this board out and double check what's going on there. To repair a leftover of rubber apparently and some other crud on those pulleys and flywheel, I will use 99% isopropyl alcohol and some cotton swabs. I'm gonna just try to clean up as much as I could to make sure there is no crud left behind before I try to install something new. So in order to remove type mechanism, there are a few screws like this over here, and then on this side also have to remove this front panel, which I already start removing it. There is a few screws on the bottom and two similar screws that I show you over here gonna be on the bottom, just two. So I'm gonna just like, I think over here and over here will be really, so it's gonna be like similar screws like over here. I already removed top sides top top 3 screws on top over here, and there'll be 3 more on the bottom and 2 more screws in order to remove cassette mechanism or mechanical part. So I'll do it off the tape, and let's see where we end up. Oh yeah, and this thing is apparently removable. Yeah, that has to be removable. All right. Okay, we took it out. So after fiddling for a bit with the whole thing, you actually can nicely, well, disconnecting one over here connector on this side, I was able to nicely pull this whole contraption. I'll just move it better for better framing. All this contraption outside the box. It looks like this is the controller board of the motor, which probably also can adjust speed over here. And yeah, after I clean it up, I'll try to clean it up with a little bit with brush, because also in the bottom over here, under this mechanism, because I cannot pull it completely, probably possible, but just I don't think why would I do it, because I can access the flywheel. I'll have to remove this bracket over here, and we'll be able to install new belts after that. Interesting. And yeah, I didn't mention before, I do have new belts for this guy. Yes, I was thinking that if a motor is working and there is no rotation, so clearly there is a problem with belts. So yeah, and I got some, which probably they cost as much as all this thing together, by the way. But I hope this is the only problem, because I'm taking a gamble here. Okay, so looks like we have all this stuff, and now I'm gonna proceed with the removal of this bracket. Also try to gingerly move some wires away from here, which is not that straightforward, because these guys are just soldered into the board. So yeah, they would have to just be dangling. Nah, no big deal. Anyways, so let me do that. So okay, so first we will start unscrewing this little guy, and it is flat. What? Okay, so we are in. I'll decide to put my gloves on to make sure I'm not gonna put any more dirt on all this mechanism. So let's take a look at this belt. So this is the flat belt for the capstan drive or capstan flywheel. So on this side we can just shove it under the dims, just like that. And on that side, you'd have to, well, I think that's the right way of doing it. Just do something like this. I think it's looking good. It's perfect. So now we have 2 more belts, and I don't know which R goes where. Okay, this is thicker, so I assume thicker goes to the real drive. I think this is the real drive, or something to this extent. I just realized there is some more crud in there, so I'm gonna clean this up. I don't wanna give it a chance to crop up again. Let's install the capstan belt. So first of all, I'm gonna fish it around this pulley over here, and then nicely and carefully install it over the end with this sort of rotation. With this rotation, it's gonna just not go where it needs to go. Interesting. Okie dokie. Technically, the most complicated part is over. Now we have to install this. I think this is the real belt, and I think, oh, it's really hard. This goes over here. I think this goes. If I'm not mistaken. Can I leave this capstan thing? Yes, I can. Okay, this goes right here. Then I'm gonna... It's again, if I'm not mistaken, because judging by diagram on the service manual, this is how it's supposed to be, but sometimes it can be open for interpretation. Looking good. Looking good to me. So we have installed two new belts. One is for capstan, look at this, it's looking good. Another one is for the, I think it's for the reel, so I may not be correct in my terminology here, but looks like this one is for the reel. And that and the bigger one for the capstan. Okay, so I think I'm okay for now, and I'm gonna clean up as much as I could here. Wipe everything nicely down, and maybe I'll see some mechanical parts we need lubrication. I will lubricate them and we put it all together. Okay, so maybe we'll lubricate this a little bit. Add a little bit of synthetic grease over here. Not sure if it's necessary, but why not? And then we have this solenoid shaft which actually fell out, and it has to go. Hope I'm not mistaken, but it has to go right in here. Kind of weird to see it's all plasticky, but hey, thought it's gonna be on a metal. Now I have to show. Maybe it's actually around this thing. Oops. Stay. Like that. Okay. Now we have to assemble it. Shit, something is not cooperating here. Looks like those guys are just self-toppers, which is kind of weird to see in such a precise instrument, but whatever. Self-toppers it is. No, that's the wrong one. Not supposed to be here. Let's go some other side. This one goes on this side. Okay, and it's supposed to hold those wires in place. And these. Okay, that's better. Now this is all in place. I'm kind of tempted to give it a try as it is, but probably better just to put it back in place. Okay, it took me some time to actually put all this assembly together, properly insert it in the chassis over here. Yeah, it was a bit of a painful procedure, but now it looks like it firmly stays in, which is very good. Also, I do not understand why this play button, stop button is not automatically returns. Something have to double check. Alright, so We are pretty much done here. We assembled all this contraption together, so the cassette mechanism is in place, all belts are here and they are properly installed. So what left now is to actually clean the contacts of all switches, and I have this contact cleaner. I hope it's not gonna destroy anything, because it doesn't say anything bad about like being too aggressive, but I don't know if this brand is okay for electronics. But I was using mostly around the car, clean up some relays and things. Probably gonna be good. So there are two big potentiometers here, pods like this one, record level for left and right. They are very cruddy, by the way, I have to wash them. And this little potentiometer over here, which is for the input level of output level of the headphones. So this one has pretty easy access right here. It's just right here. I already cleaned it up. And this one is not so easy and it sounds terrible, so I'll try to do this again. I already done it once, but looks like it's not helping. It would be nice to remove this power thing. So finally I got some cleaning going on here. Let it stay a little bit, kind of rotate it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth a few times, and see how it's gonna work a bit later. So now I'm gonna put it aside and to do one more final thing. So this is the mechanism of kind of slow door opener. I don't know how you else call it. So it has a little bit of kind of goop stuck in here. So I'm gonna remove this goop and whatever it is, probably old lubrication of some sort. And then I'm gonna put it back in this little hook here. And now our door slowly opens. So a few more important things were done here. So after I assemble everything together, I noticed that this roller is not moving when it's touching the capstan. So it turned out to be this thing is completely seized. So what I've done, I've removed this the pinch roller and assembly completely out of here, and depress this little axle and completely clean up inside and add a little bit, like slightest amount of lubrication, just to make sure this freely rotates. Now it's all good. So yeah, this was another problem with this deck, that this roller was seized, in addition to crapped out belts, or missing belts, I would say. But that was not all. Looks like I had not only problem with the stop button, but also with rewind button, and I had to disassemble the cassette mechanism to understand what the hell is going on. So I completely took apart the flywheel and things like that, and got all the way to the cassette, the piano buttons. Turned out to be they are not in the best shape. Look what's going on here. Yeah. Well, this is actually an episode of failed attempt to calibrate. So I have speed calibration tape with 3150 Hertz frequency signal, but my hardware disappointed me. So I end up actually using oscilloscope connected to the cassette deck, and I was easily calibrated it to 3150 Hertz. And here we are. This is the unit, completely operational and playing music that was recorded on this unit. So I think it's actually not too bad sounding, guys. I'm gonna release a separate video where I feature this whole complete track, which actually recorded on this deck and played back during this demonstration video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.